Stay at home on 9 to 5, raising your babies with joy and pride. A real ass mom, you're a real ass mom. Taking care of business. Ooh, girl, you're resilient. 'Cause you're a real ass mom. A real ass mom.
Welcome to the Real Mama Pod.
I'm your host, Devin.
And I'm your host, Kendra.
We are real moms.
Sharing real experiences.
The things people don't
Hey, Mama,
tell you.
hey.
Hey, Mama. Hey, how are you doing, friend?
I am doing well. How are you?
Girl, I'm stressed, but I'm going to be all right.
Well, hold on. Before we get to that, I'm your host, Kendra.
And I'm your host, Devin. Welcome to the Real Mama Pod.
So, real quick, why are you stressed? What's going on?
Today was just a day. Drew done got sick. I had to cook my meals today because we went camping and I didn't prepare properly, and I had to get my hair done after camping, so I sacrificed not making my dinner, and we had to record today and I was just running over. Just a hot mess. Okay? Hot mess,
hear you,
but we're
friend.
here.
We are eating takeout tonight because I too only cooked one meal. And you know how I am. I don't want to eat lunch and dinner. I don't want the same lunch and dinner. I just give me some. I need something fresh. So
Right.
Jonathan actually went to get us some food. And I understand how you feel with a sick baby because Eli was sick last week and was with me at home all week. So I'm recovering from last week.
Yeah,
So I hear
Jared is home with him, and he kept both of them home, so
Ooh,
I
bless
did
his
just
heart.
get to go to work and sleep in a little late today, so that was nice. So I didn't have to
Alright.
drop the boys. But we have two guests, as y'all can see. And so we have the ladies from Small Talk Podcast, Aisya and Bryttany, and their podcast is super dope. So they're friends. They started this podcast, and they talk about everything, like all the hot topics, all the contentious things. That's your podcast. If you're looking for a new podcast, definitely check them out. They have very good conversations. They have a lot of conversations with males and getting a male perspective. I think Bryttany talked about not changing her last name on a podcast, so that was her perspective was pretty cool with that. And when they had a male guest on there, and he was thinking about taking his wife's last name because he wasn't like that close with his family and didn't have these ties. So that perspective was really interesting. So I really enjoy their podcast. It's a lot of fun, good laugh, but it's also very like knowledgeable because they're therapists. So they give you like little tidbits here and there. So it's a pretty good podcast. So I love it. So welcome, ladies. Welcome to the Real Mama
Welcome.
Pod.
Thank you for having us. Definitely over here hyping us up. I'm getting excited.
That's what we do. We hype
Yes.
each other up.
At the Real Mama Pod, we will motivate and hype you up, okay?
Yeah.
We don't do nothing else. So, welcome, ladies. So if you all can briefly just tell us about yourselves. Bryttany, we know you're a mama. Aisya, you are out here, dating and mingling and stuff. So just tell us a little bit about your dynamics, how you became friends, and your journey to podcasting.
Okay. Asia, you want me to go?
Or you want to start? You want me to do it?
I got it. Okay. So Asia and we actually met in grad school. We went back to school for our master's degree in social work. Shout out to all the social workers out there. Hey, y'all. And it's funny because Asia tells this story all the time about like we rode the wave in the same cohort, but we did not like connect until maybe the second to last semester. So we sat in the same classes. We were cordial. We said, "Hey, what's up, girl? Hey," the other black girl in the class. And then we didn't really click until 2 semesters before we graduated, where it was like, okay, she's pretty dope. Okay, we got common interests, and then we started talking, and it came about after we graduated, COVID hit. Actually, we didn't even get to walk, to be honest. We didn't. COVID actually came during our last semester, and then we started planning, and talking about just things in general and life in general. And I was like, yo, let's start a podcast. Like let's just talk about it. Let's record
Mhm.
ourselves talking about it. Different perspectives. So that's how we kind of got started, just writing down topics, just kind of shooting the breeze. Small talk is just that, small talk. It's literally 15, 20 minute conversations about
Mhm.
just things that kind of come to mind. And that's where we hit
Mhm.
it off. So it's been booming ever since.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So, Brittany, while we have you, can you tell us about
Yeah.
your journey to mamahood?
Oh, y'all ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man, motherhood is rewarding, but it is so challenging if I'm
Mm.
honest. I think like a lot of people don't share the fact that they don't like it sometimes. And
Mhm.
I'll be the first
Mhm.
one to say that like I this is ghetto. Like I don't like
Mhm.
this some days, right? So I am a mother of an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old. My daughter, I got pregnant with my daughter at 25. Yeah, at 25, a very unhealthy relationship there. So that kind of introduced me, if you will, to single motherhood. And it
Mhm.
was challenging. It was challenging. I thank God for my parents in my corner kind of helping me out. And I was fortunate enough to meet my husband now, then boyfriend, I guess you could say, when my daughter was about 1 years old. We started talking and dating. So he's been around ever since. We got married, and then I had my 2-year-old 3 months after we got married.
Oh,
So we
wow.
it was really, really quick. So, um, it was challenging. I will say it was very different because, of course, with my daughter, it was just me and, her dad he was there when he could be. We weren't living together, we weren't together, so it was very much different trying to understand co-parenting for
Mhm.
ourselves. And her being a little girl, like I was very on top of things that I wanted her to experience or not experience as a woman.
Mhm.
Um, so that was the challenging part of it. But then with my husband, it was having somebody in the home, having the support, having, not to repeat certain things, or that trust level was already embedded in our relationship. So I could go to the grocery store at ease, right? And know
Mhm.
that the baby was okay. So it was good. It was refreshing to start over, I guess you can say. And a boy this time is a different, oh my God, it's a different ball game. But motherhood, it's rewarding. It has its perks, I should say.
Love that.
Yes, and what you said, what you started with sometimes you don't like it and it's ghetto. We understand, girl.
Mhm. For sure.
All right. So, Asia, when we did your introduction, or when
Yeah.
Devin did your introduction, she shared that you were out here mingling. So, how is dating for you these days? Like, what does that look like? Let's talk about it. Do you have a best date, worst date? Like, what's going on in Asia's world of dating?
Ooh, okay. I'm getting into it. Dating is
Yes.
dating is very different. So right now I think a lot of like the internet dating and like the websites and the apps, the dating apps and stuff. Um, I've definitely found that to be interesting. You meet some interesting people for real. I had one person, I think within the first 10 minutes talking about his mom, his person before, like that he was talking to beforehand. He was talking all everything to the point where telling me all about his job, that I should move to the town he was in. It was very ghetto. Talking about yeah, it was just a lot. And so to the point where, and y'all, I'm a very direct person. I kind of just like to say the things. So I said, hey, it's a no for me, but I just want to give you some feedback, so that for whoever comes next, that you'll know what you just did tonight was just unacceptable. And this was not okay. And he was like, "Oh, you're saying that because you're a therapist. You were just reading into everything. You just want to control situations." And I'm like, or your personality is just flawed. And we can start there. So that was one of the worst times. But I've also met some really, really dope people, that I consider friends now. Like people from like I have a friend that now he lives in New Orleans, but he's a wonderful like artist. Like we had some like dope times. I would have different folks so, like if I wanted to like go out and dance, then like I had someone that like we would just go out and we would like dance and stuff. And we just like have fun. If I wanted like somebody that had, someone I was just, what, I want to have an intellectual type conversation, see some artwork and all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool, like just meeting different people. And for me and all my friends, they know I talk about just having life experiences. And so that's kind of how I see dating. You land where you're going to land and just being open, open to the process and the world of dating. I think it's pretty cool, but it can definitely be a little, be a no thank you. No, no, sir.
Asia,
No,
what's your
sir.
sign?
I just
I'm
get my free
curious.
meal, keep pushing.
Free meal. What is your sign, Asia?
I'm a Libra.
Oh, you.
Hey. She was like, I'm very direct, and I just said blah blah. I'm like, okay, what is your sign? I'm curious.
That one right there, very, very no sugarcoat, nothing.
I'm working on it, okay?
Child, I don't know about that. Okay, so before we get into our Q&A, we wanted to play a little game with y'all just to make things fun. And so it's called You Know You're a Podcaster When ... So I'll say something like, you know you're a podcaster when you have technical issues, because we just had some not too long ago. So we'll just do one each just to break the ice before we go into our Q&A. So Kendra, you know you're a podcaster when...
Oh, you put me on the spot, really? When you want to say fuck it every week. That is the truth.
That's hilarious.
That's the that's
That's
my
a
truth.
good one.
But I love it. Let me just say that I do love podcast. I love what me and Devin do, and damn it if we don't have something to cuss about every week. But hey, we're living in our purpose, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, who wants to go next?
Oh, let me think. Kendra, that was a good one though, because mine was gonna be similar. When every before every I feel like new episode, they're like, do we have to do it today? Um, or even I'll give y'all even another one. Or if it's like, was that today? Is that the episode we're supposed to be doing right now at this moment?
Yeah, that
That's
is
me
very
or
real.
Yeah, that is real. That is real. What about you, Brittany?
Mine would have to be, let's see, having difficulty connecting with people. Yo, we have come across some terrible folks. Terrible
Tell us more.
folks.
Tell us more.
So, and I love, so one thing about y'all is I love that we can connect on this level and that you guys actually had like an introductory type thing, type vibe. Because baby, let me tell you, Asia and I took some risk, and it's different with women, right? Like,
Yeah.
we kind of know each other, whatever, how perspective, whatever. But men, it is very hard not to connect with most men because it's kind of the opposite sex, and it's like, they should just bring a different vibe. When I tell you there's some dudes that we've had, I'm gonna pinpoint this one episode. Asia, you already know which one I'm talking about. It was like pulling teeth. They were cornballs. And I'm like, why didn't we fact check them before we recorded this? This is trash.
Which episode was it? Because I think I know which one you're talking about.
If you don't want to put it in the spot, you can write it in the chat.
I'm just joking. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's hilarious. Because when I was listening to it, I was just like, eee. But yeah, that's why we started our, no offense to y'all at all, but this is why we do meet and greets with people before we move forward to interview, because you just never know what you're going to get. And the vibe's not good, we're not moving forward. And I know that sounds very like rude, but you have to protect your brand, right? And for us, like our listeners are looking forward to learn something new. every week. And I can't just have you on here shooting the shit. Like, we need to be learning something from each other. So yes, I definitely hear you on that. So that's exactly why we have meet and greets with people and really just try to get to know them and connect in some way. And we kind of follow people who wants to be on the show just to see what they're about. Like, I'm going to do my research too. Kendra's going to do her research and be like, okay, like, I listened to y'all podcast just so I can get a feel of like, who are y'all, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, you got to protect the brand. So I hope, knock on wood,
in
that
my
doesn't
time,
happen to us.
I'm protecting my time
Yeah,
too, because I don't
true.
have time to be sitting here fiddling and pulling teeth and tongues and whatever else. No.
Yeah, because if we can't talk for 15 minutes, ain't no way we get into an hour. So
45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think it was such a good idea that y'all did that. I called Britt after. I was like, Britt, they do the meet and greet. I said we should have done that a couple of times.
A couple of times. Oh my gosh, yes.
Devin,
yes.
what's
I think
yours?
Oh, I said technical issues.
So, Brittany and Aisya, both of you, we're taking a shift. The game is over. It was fun. But both of you work in the mental health field, and this is a field that is being talked about a lot more. And especially with, like, you all mentioned that you graduated graduate school during the pandemic and you transitioned into your respective fields. And I'm wondering, you know, just based on data that you all may have seen or read through while you were in school and then even the work that you do now, have you all seen like a spike in how much people are needing more mental health services now than maybe in previous years?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And maybe y'all can talk a little bit about the type of mental health work that you do.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure. So
I think there's a lag, so I'm always like waiting for Aisya to go ahead. Go ahead, Aisya.
Alphabetical order.
right?
Yeah.
So
Hey,
I do trauma focused cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's a pretty intensive type of therapy. I do that with teen girls. Actually, that's not true because the youngest client that I've had is 3. And so with that, we do like only a part of the full TSCBT due to the age. But I do that with folks that have been through abuse, mainly sexual abuse, human trafficking, and sexual exploitation. That's the work I do.
wow, your youngest
Britt,
client
your
was
turn.
3? Oh, that's so sad.
For me, it's more of, I'm more broad, right? So I do individual therapy as a whole. My clients kind of come in for any and everything, mainly anxiety, depression. I have a lot of PTSD. Recently, I think the most interesting client we had was a personality disorder, multiple personality disorder. Sis was really going through some crisis phases there. So in that I offer a lot of acceptance, and it's called ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. But I'm heavy on narrative therapy. Narrative therapy is like my thing, where you tell your story, we kind of like define it how you like to define it, and then rewrite it, right? So looking at those trauma situations or experiences that you've gone through, and just kind of rewriting it through narrative therapy, or again, like I said, meeting you where you are is acceptance commitment therapy. So those are my specialty areas, I would say.
Hey y'all. So y'all know when we find out something, we like to share, right?
Yes.
So we are podcasters. I won't say we vets in the game, but we're not super new, and we're always learning about new things to enhance our audio, our video, and we came across Riverside.
Yes, we were introduced to this platform from a fellow podcaster, and we were previously using a platform that we thought was good, but it was just okay. The outcome was just okay. So we were introduced to this platform, and we have thoroughly enjoyed Riverside.
Yes, absolutely. The audio is much clearer. It doesn't give you that like oh, I'm on a virtual recording.
Platform.
Yeah. It's pretty relative easy to use, especially for us. If we can work it, anybody can work it. And then it also uses AI to help you like edit your videos and give you magic tools and give you little captions you can create on Instagram and social media. So it's really helpful and we highly recommend it.
Yeah. So check out Riverside if you're in the podcast world, or even if you are in the virtual world with classes or conferences, any sorts of
Interviews.
virtual platforms. Riverside is a great tool to put in your pocket.
So check the link in our bio.
Bye.
Bye.
Do you all feel that people are, I guess now in today's world with all the chaos that is going on, are people seeking mental health support or services more than they did before?
Absolutely. I think so. Like at the beginning of COVID in 2020, I actually did a panel discussion called, and the check-in is what it was called. And we
Mm-hmm.
had a whole conversation around ending the stigma, right? So many times, oftentimes, mental health was frowned upon. And I feel like a lot of people were ashamed to say that they went to therapy. But then, like,
Mm-hmm.
as it became more prevalent and COVID kind of making us ostracizing ourselves or kind of be alone, right, in these spaces or be with the same person for numerous amounts of days, hours at a time, it did something to our mental space. So that's where we definitely saw an uptake increase 2020. And I will say not only with adults, but with children. There's so many behavioral health issues with kids now. I also work with in child welfare foster care. So we see a lot of like our youth have so many behavioral health issues because of the pandemic and just being alone and trying to navigate that and what it did to their mental space about not being like social or just just being sheltered, not having anything to do, right? Like and
Mm-hmm.
trying to understand that. So definitely an increase, I would have to say.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you for doing the work, ladies, because I know it's very hard to be in a role that you're in. So that's part of my next question. Like, how do you decompress after dealing with a 3-year old who experienced all this trauma, or with your kiddos or your clients? How do y'all decompress from work? And I ask that because I'm a school psychologist, and in my first 2 years I struggled with that. Like, I wanted to adopt every single kid, I wanted to take them home, I got super involved doing all kind of stuff to like try to make their lives better, and I just realized I was running myself ragged trying to save the world essentially.
It was easier for me when I actually first started my role, only because I lived further. So I decided, because Britt and I, we had a professor in grad school, and she talked about creating a ritual for yourself, to be able to do that. Um, so I know one of the things that she did, she would say, okay, before I leave the office, like when I turn this light off, I'm turning the light off on the whole day and all the things. And so for me, I use that as the drive. So I would process it on a long drive. Like, I cannot believe that happened. I would be angry and sad and all those things. And it was like over, I think it was like an hour and a half drive. And so for me, I would sit in the driveway until I said, until I'm ready, because when I walk in that house, my job cannot come with me. And so some days I would sit in the car a lot longer than other days. And I got in the habit of that. So for me, even now, I'm a big, like, I'll just talk it out. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I talk to myself. I don't think it's crazy.
Same.
Um, and my mom used to say, it's not crazy unless you respond to yourself. I respond to myself too, because sometimes it's that deep. Um, so there are some days, and I have those conversations, because I can't show a lot of the stuff to my clients, right? Because they don't want people to feel bad for them or anything like that. So I let out. I have a playlist, and that's it's like my go-to. It's like mix of like calming, a mix of like some worship praise music. That's just like yes, like we made it through the day, girl. Thank you, Lord. So for me, it's a mixture of all those things.
So it
Love
looks
it.
like y'all have a way of disconnecting from your line of work, but do you ever feel that it carries over into your personal relationships with family, friends? colleagues, whomever. I see
Yeah,
some head
absolutely.
nodding.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always waiting for Asia to like jump in. Um, I definitely, I actually had a conversation with Asia probably a couple weeks ago in regards to like, how do we turn off the therapist when it comes to our partner or our friend, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like, my husband and I will be having a conversation, and I'm always like, yeah, but, and I'm using all these words, and he's like, huh? Like what English, what's going on here? But it's hard because we're so solution driven all the time, and people are constantly pouring into us, right? And then we're trying to then kind of get them to see things from their perspectives and meeting them where they are, that when you have a real life conversation. I'll give you an example. I had a friend who was going through something, or she went through something with a guy, and then she hit me up, and she simply just wanted to vent that she was having a moment. And for me, it was like, okay, well, I think that this, and this, like maybe you need to process this. What are you feeling in this moment? And she's like, I didn't ask you for all this. I just wanted to share with you that I was having a moment. And I'm so used to doing that. And I immediately called Asia, and I'm like, am I wrong for like trying to? And she's like, no, you're not wrong. You just didn't turn off the therapist in you.
Mm-hmm.
So it can become very difficult because, again, you're listening to understand perspectives instead of just listening to hear, right? Or just listen in that moment. So I definitely 100% translates over into my friendships and family for sure.
Yeah, I would
That's
agree
good.
with that. I think sometimes too, sometimes it's not because we're a therapist that makes us the way that we are. Sometimes the way that we are naturally makes us good therapists, right? So I'm realizing that I was already one of those friends that's like, I'm like, all right, girl, what's the problem? All right, let me help you solve it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think now that I have this training right behind it, now it's like, oh yeah, I could solve that easy. We could process that easy, you know? And it's because I care, right? And
Yeah.
so same with Brit, I think it's about just understanding when to take the hat off,
Mm-hmm.
and when to go back to, because and my friends know like either way we're gonna get through whatever issue that it is. But now I told Brit, when I talk to my friend and my family, I always start with, are you just are you saying this to vent, or do you need my input?
Mm-hmm.
So I always just listen first, and then I don't give any response until I say, okay, are you asking me, or are you good? Just to kind of like stay clear of that.
Yeah.
It's good. So, do you feel like sometimes your friends and family don't want to open up to you because you're a therapist and because of your training? Like, I get this a lot too. Oh, you trying to therapize me, or you trying to analyze my brain? It's just like, no. One, I work with kids, so no, I'm not trying to do any of that with you. I'm not qualified to work with adults. But do you feel like people try to put you in this box and may not want to be themselves around you because of your line of work?
Uh, Not so much for me, actually.
Okay.
I find that when people first meet me, though, it's different than friends and family because they know me.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I've been the same. I'm the same way regardless. But when new people meet me and then they ask me what I do, and I say I'm a therapist, oh, they change. One of the first things they'll say is like, "Oh, are you going to analyze me?" And I'm like, "No, I do that. I do that 9 to 5. I do not want to do that right now."
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you're good.
That's
You're
fair.
safe. But I think more so people that don't really know me so well.
Yeah.
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 My husband
That's
is a
cool.
psychologist, so I sometimes when we're talking, I'm like, I'm on the other end where so I'm like, are you working, or are you really like what's going on here? Um
That's hilarious.
well, go ahead, Devin. I'm
It's
sorry.
gonna happen.
So EMDR, are y'all familiar with that? Okay, so this has been
Little
like
bit.
a buzzword. We have a lot of friends who've been doing this kind of therapy. We've been seeing all kind of TikToks about it. So I thought it'd be relevant to ask therapists, what is that? Can you explain that to our listeners? Do you guys think it's effective? I know it's been around since like the 80s, but now it's just like a phenomenon almost. Like I see it every time I open up my phone. I don't know if it's my algorithm or what, but like I'm like, okay, what do I need to do this, because I'm just seeing it so much. So can y'all talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, I can share a little bit. So I actually did a 2-day training since I'm already in the trauma world. Um, EMDR kind of fits right in with that. So with EMDR, though, it's usually used for adults, right? And people that have PTSD. They've expanded it now. So sometimes they use it for folks that have like anxiety, um, any really sort of like any symptoms that or any experiences that still impacts them, right? That they have strong ties to. So whether it's strong emotional ties, where they have triggers that still will impact their day to day, right? And so, and firstly for folks, because I realize I'm big on like just acronyms, right? And in my world, we use it for everything. EMDR, it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. Um, and so that's a lot of words, y'all. But basically, what happens is it's multiple steps, right? That people use is about 8 steps. But what it does is when we experience any type of trauma, our bodies is basically saying, okay, this is a scary moment, right? And so we go into the fight, flight, or freeze. And so when that happens, we don't actually process what has occurred. We just store it. And so it doesn't allow our bodies to go through the natural healing process, right? So like if somebody trips, it's like, oh man, that sucks, right? But it usually doesn't have this lingering impact for folks. Um, but with something stronger, right? Such as like things that when people are diagnosed with PTSD, they have very, very strong symptoms, such as they might have flashbacks, right? Re-experiencing different things like that. And so with EMDR, I'm a fan of it, just because it doesn't take that many sessions to do for people to actually process that trauma. So sometimes people might have to do like the 12 to 16 to 18 sessions, right, of a different type of modality. But when it comes to EMDR, sometimes people feel better from what they say in like 2 sessions, right? Upwards of usually it's about 6 to 8. And so, so with that, basically, it's just uh, rapid eye movements, right? So bilateral. So you're going side to side with your eye movements. Sometimes people do tapping. So they're like the butterfly pat, or tapping on the knees. And what that's doing is it's reworking your brain, right? So it's allowing the network between the circuits in your brain to communicate effectively, so that you're not in that fight, flight, or freeze moment. You're going to a particular moment of a trauma, a particular memory, a particular thing that happened. And with that eye movement, it's actually creating that communication within your brain so that it becomes less traumatizing, right? You're not as sensitized to it. And so like I said, I like it. I enjoy, I've seen it done. I've done a couple trainings on it. I'm a fan of it. I know it's controversial for some folks. Um, some people think it's a little like, oh, so it's like, okay, so you talk about this trauma, you're not really digging deep into it. You're literally going to a particular moment and then you replace it with, okay, well, what did you want to feel? What are some positive things that could have happened in this moment? And so what ends up happening is as your brain is doing it, it's like, okay, I don't feel that sensation in my body anymore. Now, when I think about this moment, I'm thinking about the positive thought that I want to have, right? Or the positive experience that I know I could have had in that moment. So I'm a fan of it. I think that it's not for everyone. Everyone is not trained in it. Everyone does not qualify to do it or needs to do it. And I think sometimes with social media, when things are the hot topic, everybody wants to do it. It's not needed for everybody. All y'all don't need to do it. It's cool. I get it. Don't try to do it at home. TikTok is not going to show you exactly how to do it. Okay. So start with the TikTok University, y'all.
Right, right. Y'all heard it from a therapist herself, okay? So maybe my algorithm need to change. I'm like, dang, I need to sign up for this. Like,
Girl.
I'm always diagnosing myself with something though. So, That's funny.
Thank you, Asia.
That was a
So,
very thorough answer. So yes,
very.
thank you.
And you actually taught me a little bit. Like, I've heard about it, and I have not, like Devin, it has not been down my timeline, but um we have some friends, like she mentioned, that have gone through this form of therapy, but I have not really taken the time to research exactly what it is, and I'm happy you were able to break that down as simply as you could for people like myself to really understand what that form of therapy looks like.
Of course, no doubt.
Yeah, so our last question to you all is, do you all participate in therapy? Do y'all go to therapy?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so necessary. I definitely think it's so necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Only because again, I was just literally telling my husband probably like 45 minutes ago or before we started, the spirits that attach themselves to you, right? When you're actually having these sessions, is draining and overwhelming. Like, especially if you're doing anywhere between 2 to 4 or 5 sessions a day is a lot. Even one session, it could be one very extreme session for you. You have to just disconnect. And I feel like even disconnecting, or even trying to put on mommy hat or friend hat or whatever hat that I have to wear at that time, I need therapy. I tell Asia all the time, like, girl, how many times we have Issa moments where we're in the mirror, like, checking yourself, like, girl, go ahead,
Shout out to Insecure.
Yes, shout out to Insecure. But those are real life moments that you're reflecting in the mirror, talking to yourself, like, I'm a little crazy, you know what I'm saying? So I just feel like it's good to have somebody else, hear your side, your perspective of things, sit on the other side of the couch, if you will, and kind of gain some insight too on things that you can. I don't know about you, Asia, but I've taken some things that I've actually learned from my therapist to therapy that's actually worked for me, that I might see in a client. I'm like, okay, this actually works for me. Let me try it on a client and see how they react to it. And it's been beneficial for everybody. So we're literally passing down like treatment patterns to make ourselves better in the world as a whole. So definitely therapists need therapists. Absolutely.
That I love that. I did have another question. I'm sorry. I know Kendra said that was our last question, but
Yeah.
we are in our mid-30s, right? And a lot of time we have a few friends who like really want to be married, really want to have kids, and like just really counting down their clock, right? And it's stressing them out. It's making them down. It's making them depressed. They feel like they're not going to find that person, or they're never going to have kids. Like, what do you say to them? How do you help them? What advice can you give to them? Because I can only imagine that's something you really want and it's really out of your control, right? The dating pool sucks, right? From what I hear. And from what I see too, like men on podcasts just talking crazy. I'm like, take the mics away, please, because this cannot be men in real life. Like, it's just really the passport bros or brothers, whoever they are. It's just like, this can't be for real. Like, it can't be. And I can't imagine being like a single woman looking at that. Like, I'll be stressed the hell out too, because it's like, okay, where is my person? Because this just can't be it. And sometimes we try to offer advice to our rich auntie friends, or our single friends, or our friends that are just living life to the fullest, because this is also, even though I love my life and love having kids and love being a wife and love being a mom, like, there are times that I just want to get away and I cannot, because I have responsibilities to my family. So one, I think you really have to be sure and know this is what you want, because once you get it, you ain't no going back. You can't just sit it back. This ain't Target. Look,
You can't send the kid back, but you can send the husband. I don't want to send my husband back, Jonathan. That's not what I'm saying. But you can send the husband back.
But you can't you can't go in there with a receipt or without a receipt, with a credit card statement like, hey, can you take this back? I don't have my receipt, but I got this credit card statement.
Just give me store credit. Just
Right.
give me
Store
store
credit,
credit.
something. No, you got to be sure. But like, I know I'm rambling, but because this is like a real concern for a lot of my friends. So I'm like, okay, we have therapists on here and they listen to the podcast. Y'all may have some insightful information you can give them of how to regulate those feelings or some other things they can do to not like focus on just that part of their life, because a lot of these women are really successful too and like doing a damn thing, you know? So what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll just speak because I'm not a rich auntie. I'm a nonprofit auntie. Shout out to us too. Um,
You can be rich in spirit. It doesn't matter what's in your bank account.
Trust. There's more
um,
to the definition of rich auntie than monetary.
yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. Because social media will have us fooled. Because every time I see rich auntie, it's somebody with a fur coat or something. Some of us are just nonprofit aunties, and that's okay. Okay, big hearts, big hearts. But as a nonprofit auntie, that's one of the things for me too. Like it got to the point, y'all, where I was like, I need to change up my eating habits and I need to take these vitamins because I'm gonna have a geriatric pregnancy because by the time it happens, this is how my body's gonna be, all that stuff. Um, and a couple of things, right? I had even talked to my doctor about it. And my doctor said, okay, cool. I mean, you can if you'd like to, but also just remember our bodies really are evolving. So women are having healthy children later on. And so it is possible, right? So it's not like, oh my goodness, um, I'm going to be 45 having my first child. And, there obviously are different risks, but
Mhm.
there are so many women and folks that are having children later on. That's the first thing. The second thing is what my doctor told me is stress. So stress is actually one of the things that are the reasons why some folks will have complicated pregnancies to begin with, right? Just different factors in life. Also, even the women that are having like children old at later ages, one of the things that doctors say to them a lot is to reduce your levels of stress, right? So, because I don't think we realize how much stress actually puts a strain on our bodies, not just in an
Mhm.
emotional sense, but in a physical sense, right? So I would say get in the space of having um, a stress reducing practice, whatever that is. So for some people, that might be going to yoga, that might be having like a girls' night, that might be journaling, that might be, just soaking in a tub with some Epsom salt. I just did that the other day. That's why I said it. So, so just figuring out different things for you that can work to help reduce your stress. So that's the first thing, just because you want to prepare your body for when that does happen, that you haven't worked yourself up to the point now, right, where
Mhm.
you have been holding on to toxicity, because then your child
Mhm.
that would then be released to your child, right? And then honestly, I would just say have fun. And I know that's hard because I I'm with y'all, okay? All the aunties, I'm one of them too, so I get it. But being able to date yourself, right? So I'm a big fan of solo trips. Um, and you can ask Britt, I'm usually always traveling somewhere to visit somebody. I'm rarely home. Because for me, it's like, okay, I then want to have life experiences. I've always said I want to live the full human experience.
Mhm.
So for me, as a woman, I do believe, if my body's able to, I want to have children, right? I want to do all those things. But right now, it just hasn't happened for me yet.
Mhm.
But I don't want to then spend my time not experiencing the rest of the fullness of life that I could have. And so I'll go to different places, I'll try different foods. I usually will create like a little list of, okay, all the things I want to do in my area. And I do some touristy things. I grab a friend and we'll, go out to different places. But for me, it's just about building my life up with pockets of joy, so
Mhm.
that when it comes, I can fully appreciate, the relationship. I can fully appreciate, the family, and then just have faith that it will happen, in its
Yeah.
time.
I love that perspective.
Yeah, me too. Me too. That
I'm
was good
gonna just
advice.
jump in real quick before you guys
Hmm.
close out because I feel like It could be, mine is less of a therapeutic response. Mine
Mm-hmm.
is more of just realistically, just stop.
Mm-hmm.
Just stop, right? And what I mean by stop is literally there, it's not a race. There
Mm-hmm.
is no deadline, there is no finish
Mm-hmm.
line. Life is so
Right.
short. We can be gone at the blink of an eye, right? So you have to live every moment to give yourself some fulfillment, some self-fulfillment there. People don't understand, and I say this all the time. People don't understand, women specifically, because that's what the question was asked for women in their mid 30s. Emotional addiction is real. We're
Mm.
addicted to being like emotionally attached to human beings. That's just part of our nature, right? Like we're emotional creatures and men are logical or whatever. So when we understand what emotional addiction looks like and how that can kind of co-sign with codependency on a man, and then we realize that we're trying to check these boxes or make everything work or fit this square through this circle and it's like it really doesn't, right? You have to then take a step back and understand that, okay, I need to do the work for myself. I
Mm.
Right.
need to heal for myself. I need to redefine myself or where I'm at in life and what I want. Everything else will kind of fall into place. I believe a man should be the one that's in pursuit of the woman, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
not the other way around. I'm not saying that women can't go out and meet new people or be the aggressor or whatever it is. That's if your style is your style. However, there are times where we just need to stop and understand our cravings of emotional addiction and how much we're just like embedded in those things as women at this age because society has defined for us that we need to be married, white picket fence with kids
Mm.
by 35. And it's really and truly not that because if you rush into something that you're not ready for, hey, let me tell you, when the flowers are gone and the freaking, I don't know, the tunes stop and the party's done, right? The wedding is over and marriage is actually walking into this house every day and stepping into those shoes as a wife, it is very much real. And all
Mm-hmm.
everything that comes along with it. So having a partner that's supportive, that finds that healthy balance with you and you all are able to communicate and I don't know, like kind of just live it out on this firm foundation that we all talk about these cliches. It's very much real, very much real. It's not just a put on for social media or your family and friends just checking those boxes. Again, you have to live with these decisions that you make with the partner that you decide to be with. So stop, take your time, right? Kind of
Mm-hmm.
reanalyze and just redefine yourself and make sure you're doing everything that you want to do for you first.
That's good.
That's
That's
good.
real.
It
That's
is.
really real. That was
I
that.
actually. Oh, go ahead,
Mm-hmm.
Devin.
Go ahead. No, I'm just basking in what she said. I'm just both of them.
So I actually have one more question for y'all. So there are women out there, and I'll say this: it's I'm women, who are interested in going to therapy, but they don't know where to start. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to friends and family who have gone to therapy and they're like, "Oh my gosh, my therapist was the worst. I have to find a new therapist." And that's a whole experience in itself. And you're already having to attend therapy for whatever reason, but having to stop therapy because you and your therapist ain't connecting and
Vibing.
having to find someone else, like that just seems like trauma in itself. So are there any tips that you all can offer to me, and any other listener who is interested in therapy and they don't really know where to start, but some tips on how to find the right therapist?
I think it
Yeah.
all comes down to, and Asia, you can piggyback off of me. I can already kind of know what you were going to say because we again had this conversation a couple of days ago. Um, but I think it all depends on what you want, right? Like knowing what you want first. There's a lot of clients that came to me that were like, I wanted a black therapist that's a woman specifically. I'm happy that she did find me. But a tip that I would give that when I was in search of one is what is it called? Therapyforblackgirls.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's a site where you can literally go. I'm speaking to the culture now, right? The black culture, where you can specifically go to find a black therapist. It highlights every type of therapeutic service they provide, insurance they take, what they look like. You can see them. They have a bio, how long they've been in practice, their license, All of that information is there, and you can check the boxes. And it's by area, by location, any state, any city, any zip code, in person, telehealth. It's literally all there. It's like a big directory inbox. I guide a lot of my clients to that site that are looking specifically for Black therapists. Other than that, you just have to, it's hard. It's like doing a research paper, right? Some of it is trial and error. Even if you do find one that you might like or consider because of the way that they look, I believe those initial, take the chance in doing those consultation calls, those 15-minute consultation calls. Most of the time they're free. So when you take that time, you can get a perspective on who you're going to move forward with and ask all the questions you need to ask. Like, how long have you been doing this? Do you enjoy this? Right? Like, what practices do you do? I'm suffering from anxiety. Is this something that you specialize in? What's your availability? What's your schedule like? Ask all the questions that you need. And that's your time really to kind of decide whether you're going to move forward or not, if it's even worth your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for that,
Um,
Brittany.
and I would also say for folks that are looking for, so a similar website, um, that's just for any type of therapist, multi-ethnic database, if you will, is growtherapy.com. So similar concepts. You'll be able to see the profiles of the folks. You'll be able to type in your insurance, all the things. But I would say before doing any of that, just know what you need therapy for. Are you looking for a therapist that will challenge you? Because some people think that therapy is going to be like, either they're just going to give you advice the whole time. Not all therapists do that, right? Most therapists will not do that. Are you looking for someone that you just kind of want to vent to, right? So even asking the therapist what is their style, because that might give you a little bit of insight. Because sometimes people they think things are all fine and dandy until their therapist starts asking them deeper questions, right? And then they run
Right.
away from it because it's scary. Or when the therapist is giving them therapy homework, right? And they're like, wait a minute. I got to do work outside of this. And then they
Right.
run away from it, right? So I think going into the therapeutic space with trying to figure out what is it that you need from a therapist, um,
Mm-hmm.
what type of style do you feel that you would mesh with, and also what are the things that you know you are ready to do? What is the work that you are ready to do? Because if there's certain work that you're not ready to do, um, then you're not going to mesh with your therapist once you get to that point, right? So I would just say just really evaluate those things before even going to those consultations. But as Britt said, go to the consultations. Last thing, when you're looking up in those databases, find 3 therapists, because if one doesn't work in a consultation call, you already have one that you're like, look, all right, it's fine. I was going to set up this one, next anyway. So kind of like
Mm-hmm.
plan ahead in that way too.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Thank you for that.
yeah, that was good. That was really good. So, all that therapy talk, it is time for some mama juice, okay?
Ah, let me say, I'm glad I got Mama Juice today.
Right. Me too.
Glad.
Yes, fat drinking
Um,
mama juice.
so, as you all know, our drinks are always inspired by our guests and what they like. And both my girls, Brittany and Asia, are here for the whiskey. And y'all know I love me a brown beverage. So today's Mama Juice is actually titled Talk It Out because that's what we've been doing. We've been talking it out. And when we asked Brittany and Asia what they liked, they were both very specific. They like whiskey, but they told me exactly what they liked. And Brittany likes Jack, honey, and Coke. Is that correct, Brittany? And Asia, you like
Yes.
a whiskey sour, right?
Yes. Hmm.
So what I did was I kind of merged the two. So we have 2 ounces of whiskey. Since Brittany likes Jack, I would say get a Tennessee whiskey. A splash of Coke. I just put a splash because and then
I
I
have
put
more
a
than a splash.
yeah. Devin got Coke with a splash of whiskey.
There you go.
And then I do a squeeze of fresh lemon juice and I garnish with a lemon will garnish. So it's super simple. It's straight to the point. We're talking it out. That is the cocktail version. Now, if you want the mocktail version, you don't drink, you're a mama to be, that is totally fine. You can have to talk it out. Just have a Coke with some lemon juice and a lemon will garnish, and you have the talk it out beverage inspired by Brittany and Aisya, our girls from Small
Love
Talk.
it.
Yes.
Love it.
Love it, love it, love it. So if this is your first time listening, we also have a segment called Mama's Corner. And so this is our opportunity to connect with that guest further. Typically, our listeners will write in a letter or we can be reflective. And so I want to be reflective for this one because you all just had a podcast about outgrown friendships. And so Kendra and I have this conversation all the time. You know, in your 30s, you just don't tolerate what you tolerated in your 20s. I don't know if it's because you got kids now or what. You know, you just be like, I don't have the bandwidth, the capacity. You could be mad. I don't care. And especially coming from a people pleaser, like I've always wanted to see my friends happy. I've always just was the bigger person, always just wanted to keep the peace. But now I don't have the bandwidth to do that. And I think people are starting to feel that. And I have no beef. Like, there's no issue. I don't love you any less. It's just that I cannot put my attention on that any longer. So if you want to have a temper tantrum, if you don't want to talk to me, or I have people like unfollow me and block me on social media, I didn't even know I was being blocked. But
Blocked.
right, I was just like, we taking it that far. But someone had to tell me I was blocked. But you know, things like that. You know, just outgrown friendships. Can we talk about that a little bit? And like, what do y'all think about that? Like, am I hitting a nail on the head when we talk about just being too busy for confrontation? Or I don't know. I don't know where to meet these people at. Or, you know?
You mean where they at?
I just think it's about like you can't take everybody with you to the next level.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And your level in life, you may be married with kids and they may not be, or if they are, maybe their marriage looks totally different from yours. Right. So just kind of understanding where you are in life. I've done this 1,000 times and I said this on the pod. It's my friends are very much in different places of their lives, and they will not understand. I want to say out of maybe like the 8 of us, 2 of us have kids. The rest of them are, if they are in a relationship, they don't have the children, and that sucks you dry. Like having kids sucks you dry. Really it does. So just understanding, like, as we get older, I think after we hit 25, I'll throw 25 out there, you have to understand that a check-in is a check-in. Baby, I still love you. I'm still here for you. Hit my line when you need me. I will always be there, but I am not going to be able to sit on the phone with you for 2 and 3 hours. I might not be able to do Sunday brunch every single week, right? But like, just those check-ins are very meaningful, just to let that person know, like, hey, I'm thinking about you. Everything good? Okay, boom. Like, we'll catch up more when we can, but I just need you to know that I'm checking in with you. So just kind of understanding the dynamics of your relationships.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. The way that I see it too is it's just because I think like I have to schedule time with the friends that I'm close to. You know what I mean? Like, so I definitely am not about to give too much energy to people that I'm no longer, you know what I'm saying, that the friendship is no longer viable, really, when you think about it.
Right.
So for me, it's like I'm like a cool, like if we need to have a conversation, you know, because you don't want to be in my life no more, okay. And if not, I was gonna do some paperwork anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's just because I really think about adult friendships just looks so different. Like Britt and I usually we have to be like, all right, girl, we literally have to schedule. And then when we talk, like, all right, the next time we'll talk is on this day at this time, because it's like, and that's a friendship that I truly care about. So it's like if I put that much work into my friendship with Britt and we're close, you know, but understanding we're so busy, I'm not about to do that for a dying friendship. I'm just not.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That was
So
good. Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
Well, ladies,
you
this
know
was
what?
so. Go ahead. What
No,
were
I
you
was
gonna
saying
say,
that's how you
Asia?
know you. I was just gonna say that's how you know because you have kids. Because in my mind, I was thinking there's another song. It's not a kid song at all. It was like "Let It Go." I was like, see, that's how you know I'm your auntie. You're the mama.
It's my niece. My son does not like Frozen. Like he may watch the Olaf for a few minutes, but he's not into Frozen. He is
Yeah.
just not. So
My boys are like that too. Oh, that's girl stuff. I'm just like, your mama's a girl, okay? We're not doing that.
Right.
But this
Thank
was
y'all.
good, ladies. Thank y'all so much. Y'all was so insightful and so fun. And I'm pretty sure y'all going to help a lot of people today with this episode. So thank you.
if anyone
Thank
wants
you
to
for
reach out
having us.
to both of you, how can they find you on social media?
So our podcast is just_small talk. I don't. Let me just leave it there. Sorry. Our podcast, you can follow us at just_small talk. I know for separately we do have our therapeutic pages, but if you go to that particular page on Instagram, it connects you to our therapy pages as well.
Oh, great. Great.
Make sure we
Good
have that in the
stuff,
description.
ladies. Well, until next time. Bye.
Bye.